How are we doing, guys? And welcome to the I'll Try That podcast. This week, as usual, I am joined by Mr. Joe Druitt.
Hello.
And of course, Barber.
Hi, everyone.
I love that I got a full first name, last name introduction, and you just got your last name.
Ian.
Yeah. This guy.
Yeah, and the other guy.
Don't mess about. You know full well Rich has no idea what my first name is.
Shut up, Matthew.
Oh.
And this is... I'll full name you like a...
sorry.
So this week we're talking about Mad Squirrel Brewery, based out on the outskirts of London. But first, I'm going to hand over to Mr. Joe Druitt, who is going to talk to us about the hot topic he has chosen to educate us about this week.
Thanks, Drabs. Richard Drabwell.
Thank you.
So, this week, I've got a bit of business news in the brewing industry for you. So,
well, as we all know, I'm always hot on business.
What? As we all know.
Everyone knows that.
Everyone knows it. That's like the first thing people say about him. Richard Drabwell, you know he's always hot on business.
Instead of like attorney at law, it's Richard Drabwell, big on business.
Big on business. This guy.
Enterprise.
He businesses.
Commerce. Trade. He does it all.
Synergy. Damn it, it sounds like one of those meetings I was in earlier on. Right. So I've got a bit of news about the brand Pinter. Anyone heard of Pinter before?
There are those really cool contraptions that cost far too much money, but it feels like you can pour your own pint.
Yeah, absolutely spot on. Basically, they have a unique system of basically creating like fresh brewed draft beer using... Like, it looks like an amazing looking machine, doesn't it? They're all super brightly coloured, but it looks like a tube, like a barrel, like a small barrel in bright colours with some sort of font. A keg, as you if you will.
Whoa, slow down, experts.
So it's, and then you have these like capsules, let's say, but they're quite big. They're like, basically things that you put in to this keg. Machine, and it creates different kind of beers based on that. So
Blimey, it's like gigantic beer Nespresso.
Yeah, I think I think that's a. Oh my god, Bob, you're so on point with this. That's exactly what it is.
I'll stop.
You're so busy. You're so businessing
I've got
right
bright
now.
red.
That's it. It's basically a beer Nespresso. Wow, I hadn't even thought of that. They've nailed it in the.
Other espresso pods are available.
Yes. I'd imagine it costs a bit more in regards to, the cost of the product itself and the actual like rechargeables, and also the cost to yourself if you start drinking this at like early morning instead of your coffee.
And you would want more than an espresso shot out.
Absolutely. You get a quite, you're right, volume wise, you get substantially more than just an espresso. So,
for real.
Why we're even bringing up Pinter is they have just been named as the UK's fastest growing online company. So what they said is,
really?
Sales for them has grown more than sixfold to almost £6 million as beer lovers save money in the cost of living crisis by serving £1.50 pints they're brewed at home from a specially developed keg. I mean, how good is that? £1.50 for a keg, for a pint, sorry.
I'd
imagine that the starting costs are a bit more to get this going, but when you get going, those £1.50 pints are calling.
Well, how much does a pinter cost?
Yeah, my research so far is actually just getting me to buy Harold Pinter plays. So bear with me, and I'll go.
Travis, did you say you found out how much they cost?
£100.
I'm over 18. They are £100 right now, which is actually pretty decent for the thing. Then how much? Let's select that Pinter. Then you have the different capsules, let's say, that go into it. So you've got an out of office, which is an international lager, that's £15. You've got a space hopper, which is a double IPA at 7%, which is £16, and a bright cider. So you can put ciders in this as well, and you can get different beers out of it. So you will make 10 pints out of any one of those that I've just said. So you are getting £16, you're getting 10 pints out of it.
I'm so hoping I get one of my brothers in a Secret Santa this year.
Because you think they like this, right? This does sound like a great gift.
Yeah, and actually, I've been hanging out with trappers for too long. I see an idea and go, I'm doing it.
This sounds good.
It's beer related. It's buyable.
If I'm quite honest, I'm probably going to send this episode to Pinter after this and hope they're going to send us a couple of their units. You know, I'd love for that. This does sound great.
They've got a NEIPA.
They do have a NEIPA.
And
yes,
they've got a NEIPA, and I love NEIPA.
I feel like one of us has to take the plunge and get this.
And considering they had you at retail's at.
Yeah.
Travis, they're also doing a sale right now. It's a sale. It's a markdown price.
Oh, are they? Oh, that's the worst part. I'm going to have to wait till payday because I came in very skeptical when we first started talking about this. I now want one. I now want a Pinter.
Well, I mean, if you do buy into this, Travis, you are going to be part of the 60,000 home brewers here in the UK right now, and it's sold an equivalent of 3,900,000 pints. That's how much Pinter has sold now.
So my question is, how long does it take to turn into beer? Because am I putting the capsule in and then I've instantly got 16 pints?
No. So it's not as like an espresso pod. There is a little bit more to it. Apparently the brewing for this is 5 days. So I'm looking at the Space Hopper Deeper, the double IPA. This is the one that's, makes 10 pints from it, and you have a brewing of 5 days, and then what they call conditioning for 3 days. So I imagine you kind of brew it in this special, their special hopper, and then it kind of sits for 3 days, and then you have to consume your 10 pints in 3 days. Maybe that's what conditioning means.
So I've then got to do 10 pints in 3 days, which feels, on a day-to-day basis, I'm not drinking that much beer.
No, you're absolutely right. I think we need a tutorial of how this works, because I think in order to give this a full sales pitch,
we need a free one from.
As I say, Pinter, if you're listening to this, we'd be very open to trial your new innovation that I know you've been working on for a while. That you've just won the fastest growing online business in the UK.
You may have sold loads, but currently no one knows how it works, and we're the only ones.
Until we give a proper review about it, you won't get even more sales.
We'll help you out here. And you know what? We'll do it for free. We'll do it for free for
All it's going to cost you is one of your dark matter espresso stout pods, your space hopper, and your out of office, and your machine. Well, no, I'd imagine we'd meet up to do this if we were going to do this. I'm not going to consume all these beers by myself.
Look, if I have to consume 16 pints in one sitting to get an accurate viewing, I'm more than happy to do so.
No. So what I was just reading out from those four, they were actually just the best sellers. There are plenty of other beers that they have. They've got 15 just in their classic section. They've got 6 in their hopper section, which I imagine is their kind of hoppier side. Pale ales, they've got 8. They've got lager pilsners, they've only got 2, which, should probably up their lagers. As we know, lager is back, everyone. And ciders, they've got 4. They also have other styles of 8. So you've got things like a brown ale. We know they're coming back. A dunkel. We love a dunkel over here. Red ale. Huge beer. Love those. A porter as well. Yeah. There's Feist beers, an Oktoberfest special. So anyway, long story short, I love this sound of this innovation. Although it does seem like, it's kind of doing your own kind of homebrew. You're kind of taking the fun out of maybe the homebrewness, but it's making homebrewing way more accessible. So I love that innovation.
Do we think this is going to open to doors so I currently have a Tassimo coffee machine, and they have pods that come from Oreo, Cadbury's, and all this sort of stuff. So is this going to open the door to other breweries going, you know what? We can sell something like this, and then they have a collaboration of some sort, and they go, right, you can get Tiny Rebel are going to do a collaboration, you can get Siren doing a collaboration, and you can buy those instant brewing packs from them.
I think you're right. I think it has to go that way, that you basically do collaborations with Pinter's beers. You've got all the breweries ones. Well, I would be quite interested if they can learn from where Nespresso and the coffee pods have got to, is thinking about the recyclability of their pods. I hope they've already got there, and that these kind of big pod things that they have to make the beer are already there's a collection service, they're recyclable, blah, blah, blah. I don't want there to be any kind of additional plastic that I'm consuming in my home. But if I've bought the unit, the keg, and then I've got these kind of capsules, let's say, to make these different beers, I'd hope there's a way that I can recycle the capsule.
Yeah, fair play though. I mean, like, so actually, every hot topic we do, there's normally some level of us going criticism or, kind of sideways glance to be like, not sure. Whereas with this, we're kind of all going, yeah, cool.
I mean, I am so on board to try this. I definitely would try this. I think, if someone's putting some down on their Christmas list and they want to get a pinter, and I'll be first around your house on Christmas Day to help you brew this.
We ought to
Actually, maybe after you've done the brewing.
It's one where I would be interested in our new segment about customer reviews. That might be interesting to see.
Well, it's a relatively new company, so I wonder if
they're flying
they're based in Walthamstow, London. They're currently flying, as you said. They're the fastest growing e-commerce business. They actually won Time Magazine's Invention of the Year, and its Lost in Translation brown ale was voted the best in the UK for its recent World Beer Awards. So it's not even like the machine is interesting and innovative. The beers themselves sound like they're winning awards by themselves.
Yeah, that's pretty
which
good.
Is amazing.
Good, endorsement, isn't it?
Yeah. So I think Pinter, definitely something to watch out for. And if you're thinking this Christmas for something to look for, wait till I've reached out to Pinter and I've got an I'll try that special discount code, and then you go buy your own Pinters.
Well, that does that then. Should we do Pursuit of Hoppiness?
Yes.
Let's do it.
Let's do Mad Squirrel. A bit of Mad Squirrel.
I've been thinking about this, and I'm sorry. It's we did talk about it before, but it's sorry for that horrible sound I'm going to create. It's another one of those ones that are all coarse on the label, and I love it.
Tactile.
I love a bit of texture. I love a texture, a tactile, textured, coarse material on a label, don't we?
So which beers has everybody got? I'm assuming we've probably all got the same one.
That would help. What seems to be their most widely available, Roadkill, the New England IPA, 6.5%.
That's strong.
I like Mad Squirrel.
Yeah.
Looks weird, but it's bold. I won't go into the design too much. I think you guys might talk about it, but I love that they've got stamped at the top, unfiltered for maximum flavour. So they are like saying it is raw. And I think that sums up the design as well. The design feels raw and in your face, doesn't it?
So I've not heard of Mad Squirrel until we said we would do it on this podcast. And I was perusing their website. And I like the fact when you go onto the About Us bit on everything, they've got the dictionary definition of mad, and then the dictionary definition of squirrel.
I saw this.
Just in case you didn't know.
I saw this, and they've also put in a couple of contexts which I think are not in the dictionary, but are potentially the ones that they quite liked for this one. So mad being very enthusiastic. So I'm going to read it. Very enthusiastic about someone or something. They're mad about beer. Sorry, that's me being grumpy.
The squirrel, let's go. As an agile tweed-dwelling rodent with a bushy tail, move in inquisitive and restless manner, they're squirreling around in a brewery in search of something.
Bam. It nails their approach, I assume.
But the history of this company is, as we'd expect, quite new. They've been around since 2010, which actually is quite a long time for what we're talking now in 2022. Keith at Seven Brothers, and they're saying how, in the works for about 9 years, and then they've been brewing for 8 years. And these guys are a little bit further than that, just that little bit ahead, I suppose, but still very much in that craft beer wave that we saw coming out of these breweries.
I'm not too put off by the fact that their logo looks a little bit Donnie Darko. They're very clearly passionate about beer.
You nailed it. I was searching for what does it remind me of, and it's Donnie Darko. Absolutely.
I nearly said a bad word. Rabbit, yes. Yeah.
Rabbit.
Although I think it is meant to be a squirrel.
Oh, it's very cool. So I was looking at a bit more about Mad Squirrel and kind of what are they all about, and as you kind of nailed best people, best equipment, la 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 la. What really has taken my notice is they have a craft beer cruiser.
Oh, I just saw that.
This thing is amazing. It's like a van, like a converted van, which they have made a brewery in the back. And so they drive around to all these different events and they pop out the side and then they just pour beer out of it. It's amazing. So like you can see this at festivals. You can see this at like city events and things where, space is limited and you need to be on the move, mobile, go to different locations. It's awesome.
I'm sorry, this had passed me by.
It's a bit like, so you remember they had the Jubel Land Rover that had the beer coming out the back of it.
Oh yeah, okay.
But they've gone for a bigger
absolutely.
truck sort of thing. So they've got a movable tap room would be the best way to describe it.
The grown-up ice cream van.
Yeah, they can get 8 kegs in there. That's incredible. 8 kegs of 8 keg taps on this like movable thing. That's a whole more than most breweries would have. But sorry, pubs would have is 8 beer. 8 different beer lines that you've got. That's incredible. Oh, and actually, they are saying that you could pick this up for private hire for weddings, birthdays. They say adults, not kiddies, corporate functions, and more. So, next time one of us has a birthday, let's think about the CBC.
Friends, though. So it's just the 3 of us.
It's the 3 of
us. Well, we've gone from having a Pinter meetup to having a CBC. The craft beer cruiser turning up.
You just ordered it for the 3 of us outside your house, Joe. You could get all the neighbours involved.
Yeah, what's the occasion? It's a Thursday.
I think this rings a bell. I think in one of our very early episodes when I was living in London, in Battersea, we were talking about a guy in a van who would just turn up at your house with a brewery. At the back of his van. It was like, what? You could book him and he could just turn up.
Look, Simo was talking about him getting married soon. Maybe we do that as a surprise for him.
There you go. Well, you've now given the game away. You've spoken on the podcast, which I hope he still listens to these. So, talk about the beers. What are we talking about with these beers about Mad Squirrel?
So the Roadkill. It's got, it's, I'm not going to say the word. Is a robust beer. That's my new one instead of the other one. No, shh, don't say that. It's not popular. It's robust. No, it's quite... it's strong. It's strong tasting. It's quite in your face. You mentioned that unfiltered for maximum flavour thing. Yeah, it's none of that. This one is, I just fancy, a beer. It's a beer.
This is as
very bold.
Oh, no, I was going to say this isn't the one you want to give to somebody who's you're introducing to craft beer. You don't want to go, you know what? We're going to drink some Roadkill tonight.
Yeah. It's a bit in your face. It's a very intense intro to beer, that's for sure.
Yeah, actually, I didn't think I'd quite got the message until you said it like that. I was just like, we're drinking Roadkill. So it's quite like, I don't know, it's for, people who are ready to get down and dirty with drinking beer. Like people who would
what are you doing
eat
with
roadkill. I think you're weird.
right.
In my head, that all sounded sensible and realistic, but now it's... I'm going to have a go.
I think when you take a step back and put this beer in context with their other core beers, because they've also got lots of different sections of beers, this is the highest ABV core beer that they do. So they have a Sumo, which is a pale ale at 4.7% ABV, a Native, which is a Hales lager at 4.8%. They've got a Hop Fest gluten-free pale ale, which is 3.8. I might get some of this from my gluten-free friend. And you've got a Zealous, which is a Pilsner lager at 4.4% ABV. And then you have this Roadkill, which is 6.5% New England IPA. So you've jumped up like 2% ABV just in this beer alone.
It's got a punch and it's got a kick to it, sort of thing. And look, I'm really...
it's in many ways,
a punch and a kick.
It's the ultimate fighter in many ways.
But like, I
made myself laugh and no one else.
I'm genuinely a fan of it, but I think I'm only a fan of it because I I've based a whole bloody podcast with you guys around craft beer. Like it's the...
As in, this is your persona of being all about craft beer, and you're finding actually this is a bit too crafty for you. Is that what you're trying to tell us?
It might just be a little bit too crafty for me.
Man, you don't like anything. You don't like the real ales. You don't like the craft beers. Just pleasing you.
I like what I like. This is
which is nothing by the sound of things. Just not new things. No, you're right. There's a lot of things. I think this is a very in-your-face beer. I mean, we're trying the New England IPA. It's there, as I said, that most ABV heavy one in their core. Maybe you might be interested in these ones, perhaps a bit more. So you've got an occasional section of beers here. I know there's one here you're going to really love. Okay. So you've got Dylan Nut, which is a hazelnut milk stout.
Nope.
Sounds quite interesting. You've got a Hoodwink, which is a chocolate white stout. Never heard of that before. What is a white stout?
I've not heard of white stout. Yeah.
And they've got a Talus More, which is a Talus NEIPA.
Ooh, nice. Yeah. That tickled the fancy right there.
Yeah. I just also love how consistent they are with their branding. The fact that they've got this like Donnie Darko squirrel, let's say, in the middle, Mad Squirrel right at the top, and then big bold wording at the bottom. And then they're using very different patterns, obviously, to describe their different beers. But all of them are in these black cans. All very much is leading back to this quite Keith actually said it best, grungy, kind of like craft beer, kind of vibe that we're seeing with some of these breweries.
I've got to say, actually, I think at the time I alluded to it and in a way that meant I didn't like it. But actually, the more I look at these, I think they're seriously eye-catching, actually.
Oh, yeah.
And I think I do kind of want to reach for them. So, yeah,
but I'm looking at a few of their designs, and I do feel they're going down that Tiny Rebel route, though. And you look at...
What do you mean? Explain that a bit more. What do you mean about the Tiny Rebel route?
So we discussed about Tiny Rebel and that their cans look like energy drinks.
Okay.
And if you look at, say, you've got Hoodwink, that chocolate white stout, Jackpot, which is their cherry milkshake. In fact, just some of their limited releases do look like energy drinks.
Yeah, sorry. Right, two things here. Right, now, listen. Because I'm talking to you properly. Right.
Someone's had a beer.
I know. For me, the squirrel that looks like the scary rabbit from Donnie Darko is a bit much. There is, and I will always like to think that actually it's more about actually what the beer blooming well tastes like. But there is something about a black can, isn't there?
Oh,
I think the black can gives you the grungy vibe. And I think, although they've got a lot of black on black, a little white can with these quite cool, best word I've got is patterns off the back of them. I would go, oh, they're really cool and trendy. There was one we tried in Weymouth that had a sort of wavy line one, a little bit like their Big C West Coast IPA from Mad Squirrel. I'm trying to remember what that brewery was. That would really help. And it just, I think we looked at it and went, okay. And actually, maybe what's happened here is the black can gives it a bit of edge, but it does add to...
I think you're right.
But it does add to that kind of grungy vibe that we were talking about before.
But I think it reinforces this unfiltered, proposition. Their beers are unfiltered, they are, or maybe this specific New England that we're having is unfiltered. It's about rawness. It's as you say, it's edgy.
It's the edge versus
if they were
basically
all white clouds and fluffy. That wouldn't really fit with this unfiltered vibe, would it?
It's kind of like the dark side, isn't it? It's always, there's blooming Jedis out there. This is the dark side of brewing, and it's quite...
I trust you to bring it back to Star Wars.
What do you mean? Just because I'm actually of the Church of Jedi, it's got nothing to do with it. But no, I mean, it's for those ones that they want to go as far away. These guys, I'm speaking for them here, but they want to go as far away as they can from your macro lagers, don't they?
I guess so, but in context, they've gone from 2010 of making, 50,000 litres, which is still a substantial amount of beer, right?
More than I make.
They now make, in 2020, this is the latest facts from 2020 they've provided on their website, they now make 1 million litres annually.
That's...
So in 10 years, they've gone from 50,000 litres to 1 million litres.
So this, where's it all getting sold? Because...
So you're right. And where are they from? I mean...
just outside London.
Oh, they are just outside London. Okay, great. Because I was quite worried because I wasn't sure where they're from because their tap rooms are Watford, St Albans, Amersham, High Wycombe, Berkhamsted, Chesham. And these all sound like London places, actually. And the more I've just read them out, they all sound very close to London.
They opened. I think they opened first. After the initial opening, then Chesham was 2013 or something like that. They've actually, I will have picked that up from their website, which actually's got their whole timeline of what they did after. The bit that stuck out was that their started in 2010. The first awards they got was 2011. So it's like
very quickly and just straight into it.
I was going to say it's just I remember them. The other thing was that they were at the foot of the Chilterns was where they were based, but actually. Bear with me for the town name because that's really bugging me that I'm sure I read it earlier on.
I have really liked their latest collaboration. Finding more about this, so they're a crafty brewery. They obviously do collaborations. So Mad Squirrel have done a collaboration with the app Where You At. So this is a beer that's all about the pin. It's called Pin Drop, and it's a collaboration beer around nightlife safety. So Where You're At is a nightlife safety app. So Where You're At allows you to locate friends in busy venues even without signal. So it basically means that you can be, so you can kind of find people where you need to. So I love that idea. They've partnered with someone, and this is not too dissimilar to a friend of mine's kind of company that he had, where it was all about, kind of he was at venues and he wanted to find his friends. So it was a way of like meshing, kind of like cell service when you didn't have cell network. So you could still find people and still communicate with people and stuff. So this safety app sounds like it's the base level of that. Literally like, this is where that person is.
I was going to say that just slightly taken away from the beer, but that app sounds absolutely fantastic. I've genuinely never heard of that, and that would be that's fantastic because I still use like Find My Friends, and that's still it gives you a general idea, and then that just gives you a general idea of where they are, but not is it that precise that it can give you like you can find them in the club?
Well, you can try it out. Where You At is obviously on app stores, so you can try that out and with your friends and see if it's as reliable. But I mean, I'd imagine if there's a brewery has gone in collaboration with an app, it's for an amazing cause, but obviously it does work because that's why they're doing it. But hey, this is another reason why we're saying breweries and beers have become a way of a vehicle of creation, a platform, let's say, for raising awareness for things like these social causes.
No, it's just, it's good. I find I'm enjoying all of these collaborations with breweries that aren't with necessarily a product that they could integrate with it sort of thing. I think it's quite like that. It's not gonna be the taste. So the brewery can still do, right, we're going to make a fantastic tasting beer, but we want to publicize a cause. We want to get behind something. I think, I'm really enjoying all that sort of stuff at the moment.
Right. Numbers wise, Mad Squirrel on Instagram have 7,000 followers. And on Twitter, they've also got 7,000 followers. So amazing that they've kept it consistent, actually. They usually find one bigger than the other.
That's really true. Yeah, they're normally different.
Good observation, Barbara.
Quite impeccable that they've managed that. I'm going to go and ponder that.
I'm going to leave it at that. That's brilliant. And that's all we have time for this week's episode of the I'll Try That podcast. And so from me, Joe,
Rich,
Barbara,
and Simo,
goodbye. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram,
Twitter,
I'll try that podcast.com,
and watch us on YouTube.
Goodbye now.